Welcome to Surviving Roots, the podcast where we navigate the messy, beautiful work of healing and growth. I'm your host, Cari, and this is your space to breathe, reflect, and find strength. Whether you're breaking free from old patterns, healing from loss, or rebuilding your story one small step at a time, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath, give yourself this time, and let's uncover the tools to move forward with courage. This podcast is for you. Writer, mother, and reluctant socialite Asha Elias lives with her family in Miami Beach. She graduated from the University of Miami with a degree in print journalism and worked at Ocean Drive magazine. She has contributed to Cosmopolitan magazine and is a regular columnist for the Miami New Times. She is the author of Pink Glass Houses and the Namaste Club. Welcome, Asha.
Thank you, Cari. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm super excited. It feels a bit crazy not to be sitting with you in person, considering we are like neighbors and I could throw a rock at your house right now. But rain checks and rescheduling that comes with summer mom mode, I just didn't want to risk not speaking with you today. And you're fabulous.
Really? This totally works.
First, I just want to say congratulations on the release of your second novel, The Namaste Club, that just came out on July 1st. How are you feeling?
So relieved, honestly, Cari. I mean, you know how this feels. I think like the anticipation to a book launch is stressful. And once it's out, it's kind of like, okay, like it's out of my hands. There's nothing more I can do. Like my stamp is on it. It'll be what it'll be. But it's out in the world and it's not mine anymore. And there's kind of a freedom in that. So yeah, it feels great.
I like how you say that. You know, I was lucky enough to attend your book event on the 1st at Books and Books in Coral Gables, and it was a packed house. I mean, you have to know this, that people have to truly adore you, knowing that I saw so many Miami Beach people that would, on a weekday with this traffic, make it to the Gables for a 7 p.m. event. I was like, wow, she's, you're beyond the pages in a book. People really adore you.
That's very sweet of you to say. I was very touched. And I think that's another reason it feels so good having the book come out, because the book launch, and I realized this the first time around, is really like a celebration. It's like the best birthday party ever. It's like your loved ones, your friends, your community coming out to support you in this project, whereas other events are not necessarily people you know. And that's also great. And it's wonderful to reach a new audience. But there is something about like sharing that moment with people who matter to you it's really, really special.
Yeah, it was great. And your kids were there, which was like so sweet. Like so sweet. Well, I just want to jump in because I will say you had Pink Glass Houses and the Namaste Club come out within 1 year.
Yes.
We're literally publishing books faster than have babies. And I just want to start off with, and I think everyone listening, because so many of us say, we don't have time to do this, we don't have time to do that. You'll hear like aspiring writers say, I don't have time to write. What does your writing schedule look like? Are you up when the moon is out? Is it 5 a.m.? Are you, sprinting midday to your computer? Are you writing at every stoplight while you're driving? Just tell us your secret.
So it's a little bit of all of the above, but it doesn't always work like that. Like when you're in a story and you're passionate about it, it's easy to just kind of always have your notes app handy. So you're jotting things down. But just as often as you feel inspired and creative, you feel blocked or not motivated, or you run out of ideas. All those things happen too. So I think the only way to finish a book is to make it a job and give yourself writing hours. And so that's what I do. Like I have my non-negotiable time where I'm at the computer and I'm writing. And those are great for the days that you don't feel inspired, or maybe you're stuck on a character or a chapter. Like that's where you get that brainstorming done, because those like incredible creative moments where like you can't stop thinking about a scene in a shower, they don't always happen. They're great when they do, but if you rely on those to finish a book, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. I love that you say like you have time that's your non-negotiable, because I mean, when I hear those words, I think like whether it's like you're passionate about something or you have dreams, or if it's just like basic self-care, especially you're a mom of 2. And I think so many mothers could relate to this. What does that mean for you, non-negotiable? Does that mean like no matter what, you didn't get your workout in, or your kids didn't go to camp, or like, what does it mean non-negotiable? Like, no matter what, like, can you define that for everyone listening, especially mothers?
So I could probably have better boundaries about it because I've gotten a little more negotiable these days. By non-negotiable, I mean, I will not schedule a coffee meeting, a lunch, or anything personal during those hours. My life has changed a lot in the last year. Like my professional life has changed. So I'm freelancing, so I have to interview people. And if I have to interview someone in that window where I want to be working on a novel, sometimes I have to negotiate my time and say, okay, if there's something important with my kids, if they need me, of course, that'll always be more important. But other than that, like if I can help it, like no social time, no even self-care time, which is something I do value and I do schedule. But my writing time, I do try to keep it sacred.
I love that. It's a priority. As it should be, because the books themselves are, I don't know which one's going to be my favorite. I'm almost done with the Namaste Club. I loved Pink Glass. My husband was shocked because last summer we did a staycation. He's like, I can't believe you're bringing a book and you actually think you're going to read it with our 2 kids at this hotel. And I finished that baby.
Well, I'm honored.
It was so amazing. Your books are hilarious. They're biting and they're somehow still deeply emotional. And I'd love to know, like, is there a scene in either the Pink Glass Houses or the Namaste Club that surprised you as you were writing, as it developed? Like it almost even hit too close to home?
So many. Well, in Pink Glass Houses, I don't want to give away the ending, but there is a climax to that book where, in an emotional peak, that while I was writing it, my heart was racing and I had to like take breaks to calm down. Like I had to go for walks. I had to like hug my kids because even though what I was writing wasn't reflective of my own life, I could relate to it enough, like that the fear was there more so than the Namaste Club. Because with Pink Glass Houses, we're dealing with kids and motherhood. The Namaste Club, I think I laughed a lot more while I was writing it. And whether or not anyone else laughs, like I entertained myself at some of the scenes. I was like, am I really going to put this into a scene? So I think it hit me emotionally in a different way. But there were also some moments, like I don't know how far you've gotten into it, but towards the end where like, yeah, your heart gets racing.
I love that. Which character in the Namaste Club were you scared to write the most?
Ooh.
Or the hardest? Like, is that character, are there parts of her or him that live inside of you somehow?
Mm-hmm. I think Jessica and Indira are our 2 best friends on the retreat who love each other like sisters and fight like sisters. And I think I related to each of them in different ways. And so, I wrote a lot of my vulnerabilities through those characters. And that's always kind of hard because you have to be honest with your insecurities, your faults. And I think that I really put like a lot of that into each of those characters.
Yeah, I think you did such a beautiful job doing that. I always like to say there's so much power to the pen. And I just want to talk about revenge a little bit. And I've been dying to ask you this question, but I didn't want to ask it at a book event for people to be like, God, what a bitch. But
no.
Has anything ever happened in real life where you absolutely had to write it into a character or a storyline just to get it out of your system because you didn't in real life?
I love that you asked me that. And no one's ever asked me that before, but such a great question. And yes, I definitely have. In Pink Glass Houses, for sure. I wrote a lot about like some of my failures on the PTA, some of my failures in organizing activities for the kids. I wrote my frustrations with how I might have had unpleasant interactions with other moms. And yeah, like exactly like you said, like maybe I never said anything or did anything in that moment, but like the writing of Pink Glass Houses was very cathartic for me.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah. You got the last word and it's been printed.
And I wouldn't say that it was for revenge, but it was just like finally letting go of like, oh, I could have handled this better, or, maybe I should have spoken up for myself more in this moment.
Yeah. Instead of Dear Diary, it was just in a novel.
Exactly.
I love that. How would you say your voice has evolved from writing Pink Glass Houses to the Namaste Club? Or has it? Because I mean, they're They're 2 novels in 1 year. Have you had time? Has your voice changed? Because I know there's more in the lineup, but would you say that your voice has changed in the process?
I think that my voice is similar and that it leans a little bit into sarcasm and a little bit into satire. But with the Namaste Club, I tried to be a little less writing in caricature and a little more nuanced. Because I think with Pink Glass Houses, I went really deep into caricature and then I found more dimension along the way. And I tried to start off a little bit more. I mean, you want to introduce your characters as kind of these larger than life pictures. And I think I tried to soften it a little bit more, even though I think that these characters are a lot bolder, a lot more colorful in a lot of ways. But I don't know if I succeeded, but I tried to give them more dimension early.
Yeah, I definitely think you succeeded. I remember while I was reading Pink Glass Houses, months later, I would hear people that didn't know you or something like that, or I would see some stuff online wow, her imaginations, or I can't believe she even created people like that. And I just wanted to be like, you've never been to Miami Beach. And then I was cringing. I was like, oh my God, I live here. It's obviously fiction, but I'm just like, wow.
That's really funny. It was funny with Pink Glass Houses, a lot of people outside of Miami would be like, wow, this is a really over the top portrayal of what it's like to live in Miami Beach and these people. And a lot of people in Miami was like, oh, you could have gone way harder on some of these characters.
I was reading so fast. I was like, where will she stop? How hard will she? Well, one thing I just really admire about you, and I think is so inspiring besides the books that you are writing, is that you really reinvented yourself. I mean, during the pandemic, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to have this job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get married one day. I'm going to have kids. And you find yourself in your mid-30s or even 40s. And you're really a beautiful example of you can reinvent yourself in your life any moment. I say that a lot, even just with the healing journey, that we always have a choice, to create the life that we've always dreamed of or, pivot. I find that so inspiring about you. And you do it with such grace and grit. Can you tell us about that? During the pandemic, divorce, raising 2 kids, what made you start this? Was it survival? Was it ambition? Was it both?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for your very kind, generous words. I think quarantine gave a lot of us an opportunity to step back and ask ourselves, what am I doing with my life? Am I living up to my purpose? Am I pursuing my passions? Because I think it was a great reset where we'd kind of all been going through the motions of adulthood and without really reflecting on, where we were in life and whether that's where we want it to be. And all of a sudden, when everything is taken from you, you do kind of reflect and self-analyze. So that was happening. I knew for a while that I had wanted to start writing again. And I do also think, quarantine aside, there's something that happens to us as mothers when our children become a little more independent, especially those of us who have taken time away from careers, where we say, okay, I'm ready to be something else again. I'm ready to be more than just their mom, which, you don't need to be. I have all the respect for stay-at-home mothers, but I felt like both things were happening at the same time. I was taking stock of where I was in life, and my kids were old enough that they didn't need me 24/7, so I could pursue a passion. There was opportunity there. And I think the third thing that was really important is that at a certain age, you just stop giving a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt like I wasn't afraid of failure. I wasn't afraid of judgment. And in my teens, I was terrified of both of those things. And nothing could seem more embarrassing than trying and failing. And then, also just not believing that I was good enough. So being in an age where none of that really matters, and you have nothing to lose, really gave me the opportunity to just pursue what I wanted to do.
God, I love that, Asha. And, it's such a good reminder, especially people that are mothers listening. I am always just trying to instill in my children that self-esteem and that worth and all those things. So when they're in their 20s, I just sometimes at 47, I look back and I'm thinking, God, so many, for decades, to doubt yourself and to think I really had nothing to lose then. You know what I mean? It was just me being in my 20s, living my best life. Those are the times to take chances, but fear stops so many people.
I paralyzed myself.
Yeah, we do that. So I'm always trying to unlearn that so my kids don't have to unlearn that in their adulthood.
Yeah, that's a lesson we can give to our kids because when you're a kid, you kind of believe because everyone's told you, like, I can be whatever I want. I can follow my dreams. And then you forget it. And I don't know why.
Either. I don't know. But I think we're both doing a good job as we'll always remind our kids.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
I love that fear, you just pushed right to it. It's fear, like sometimes fear can push us down and you just let it push you right towards your potential. So, I mean, bravo to that.
Thank you, Cari.
I'd love to explore a little bit because we're getting into our 20s and self-doubt and just being scared of fear and paralyzing yourself. Like, what did love and life look like growing up for you? Like, how did your upbringing shape the kind of woman and mother you're becoming?
Oof, that's a heavy question and something I know you can relate to a lot. I had a really complicated relationship with my mother who is now passed. And I want to say like at times distant, at times close relationships with my father, but like very inconsistent. And the overarching, like if I had to say one thing about my childhood, it was independent. Like I wasn't really parented much. And I am the opposite type of, like, I don't think I'm a helicopter parent, but I am constantly with my kids and helping them make decisions and planning for their future. And those were things that I did not grow up with at all. I think the biggest difference is the relationship I have with my kids. It was very clear growing up, like there was parent and there was child and there was a hierarchy. And I don't think that that's a bad thing necessarily. And I think that maybe I could have more boundaries with my kids, but they are like my little people, and there's nothing they can't ask me. There's nothing that they can do that's going to result in me flipping out. Like we might have a serious conversation. I might get upset, but discipline looks very different.
Yeah. I love that. I can relate to a couple of those things, pretty much all of them. It's so interesting. I didn't know that about you. And I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your mom. I know that was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, this sort of leads into something that you've said, I believe on a previous podcast, something about how you made yourself grow up too fast. And I think that's just the recipe of being sort of a parentified child. So where you're independent and you're sort of, taking care of yourself. I think we do grow up a little too fast.
Definitely.
It does cost us a lot. How would you say you're sort of reclaiming that now, if you are?
These are such great questions, Cari, and ones I've never been asked. But I think about that a lot, actually, about how also around the same time that I started writing again, that I was divorcing, like there were so many new changes. But I think that I really came more in tune with who I always was and who I always wanted to be. I think that like once I graduated high school and I was off in college, I tried really hard to be someone I wasn't because I was afraid of my true nature. I was afraid of what that would look like because I had such an unstable upbringing. So I thought stability was the most important thing, and I must not be a stable person because I've never had that before. So I would have to like really change who I was at a cellular level if I was going to find peace and if I was going to have like a productive adult life. And I think I finally let go of that about 5-6 years ago and embraced like that I'm a creative person and that I am a little bit of a free spirit. And those are things that make up who I am. And they're not, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not a flaw or a fault.
Yeah, not at all. I love that you say that. Thanks for being so honest. I mean, honestly, it's almost like, you sort of dissolved and like removed all the labels from your upbringing and just realized like you're worth the life that you dream of and who you truly are. And you just sort of taking off those labels. And now look at you. I think so many of us, we just sort of become the labels that are put on us or what we label ourselves because of the things that we put in our head, whether we think we're not, worth the most beautiful, healthy family growing up or worth a parent's attention or a parent's guidance or love, or, people who lack the parenting to where I make sure like with my kids that I want to activate all those inner tools so that their worth just lights up. Like a lot of us didn't have that. So we sort of become the people that other people tell us that we are based on their presence or lack of presence. Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I know what you're saying is going to inspire a lot of people. And it's just a good reminder that it doesn't matter what age you are. I mean, you're only in your 30s. Well, yeah,
I'm in my 40s, but early 40s.
Are you? I gotta have a whole other episode on anti-aging and gracefully, girl.
I was, as soon as we are done with the interview, I was like, I have to ask her about her skin regimen.
I thought you were still in your 30s. Well, even in reinventing yourself, people that are listening in your 40s, I mean, this is just amazing. And, I think you're having some fun too, because I do want to talk about, and it's not going to be a huge portion of this episode. You're dating a younger guy, and we all want to know.
He's in his 30s.
Relationship taught you about power and, possibly like your softness and just like letting yourself be loved in the way you want to be loved.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. Our minds want to know. Well, so I was never attracted to younger men. I never saw myself dating younger men. And even as I was getting divorced and I had other friends going through the same thing, they were all having flings with these young guys. And I was like, you guys are crazy. Like, that sounds fun, but what do you talk about? It was never on my bucket list. And I met someone that I was so attracted to. And I was like, great, this is going to be my young guy fling. And we just had such a great connection and had such a great time that it developed into something deeper. And now almost 2 years later is a serious relationship. And I'm so happy. And I do feel like I'm being loved in a way that I've always wanted to be and seen in a way I've always wanted to be. And also I'm loving in a way that I never have before. So the relationship is teaching me a lot about allowing myself to love and be loved, but also I'm pushing back against fear, because I think that I always searched for stability in relationships as well, which is one reason I was always attracted to older men. And with a younger man, there's all the question marks of a younger man be attracted to an older woman. What does he want? All of these kind of feelings of self-doubt that I hadn't had in other relationships, but it was something that I wanted so badly because of how the relationship made me feel, that even though my mind was like, this is scary, this isn't a sure thing, my heart said, but why not just see what happens because it's making you happy?
Yeah. It's amazing. Do you ever see yourself getting married again someday, or is motherhood and creative freedom like your forever vibe?
No, I don't think it's important either way. I think that I can have a life partner without the label. I think that there's something beautiful in being married, though. But the fact that, there is something to be said for having checked those boxes. Like, I've been married. I know the ups and the downs. I have children. I'm a mother, so I'm not in a rush to have more kids. I think I'm at a stage in life where I can take things as they come and just be surprised by, what's going to happen next.
I love that you say that. And honestly, I know people like to check boxes, but, I think that's just how we should live our lives anyway.
Totally.
So many people, so many people are just like, and I know I'm saying this from a place where I'm married and I have kids. I get it. But
but you're right.
Until I was 37, my second one at 40. The one thing I didn't do is because I was terrified of family and marriage because I saw what I grew up with. So I was like, not for me. But I mean, I see so many people put so much pressure on. I haven't met my husband by then. If I meet him then, or my wife or my partner, about having kids and their biological clock. And I'm just like, I get it, but I feel like you're so focused on Z that you're missing all the other moments in your life.
And that it's supposed to be like a beautiful journey and it's supposed to be fun. Yeah. And that those things are supposed to come after.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you never know what is truly meant for you. You get so
right if you're going to come at all.
Yeah, maybe, I know this might be hard to hear, but I don't think everyone is supposed to meant to be married. I don't think everyone maybe is supposed to have kids. Maybe they're supposed to do other things that are going to change the legacy. So I think I love that you say that, because I think that's just how we should live our life in general. We always put ourselves in these boxes. And then when it's not working out, then we don't know how to get out, because then we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
It's too scary to step outside the box. Imagine, what do you hope your kids are learning from watching you rewrite your story in real time?
Oh, gosh, I've never actually really thought about that, but I do hope that they, like we were saying before, I hope that they are less afraid of pursuing things that they care about, because they really have been able to watch from the first day I was like, I want to write a book, until where I am now with with 2 books out, and they know how hard I worked. They know I started in my late 30s. And so if anything, I hope that they think like, my son is a musician, a 9-year-old musician and a performer, and he loves anything creative. And I do think that he would be more likely to pursue something like that. And I hope he does.
Yeah. I think you're just being you're just amazing mother, and you're a present mom, and you're showing them that perfection doesn't exist, and that you could have, I think most important is you're just showing them joy. Like you're showing them like things can change, but you just are having fun. It looks like you're having a blast. And I watched your kids at your book event on the 1st, and they're just like proud, like they're just a part of it. And it's just so cool to see.
That's really sweet. Oh, and we've talked about this before, Cari, but I do think a really important lesson to show our kids is that failure is okay.
Yeah.
And that failure is almost an essential part of the process.
Yeah.
Because again, that was something I was so scared of. Like I thought if I failed once, it meant that something wasn't meant for me.
Yeah.
But especially in a creative field like writing, you're going to fail over and over and over again, and you'll probably fail more than you win. And it doesn't mean it isn't a worthy pursuit. It doesn't mean that you won't reach your goals. And I wish that I knew that younger.
Yeah. God, I wish I knew that decades ago. But you know what? It's so true. I was just telling my kids, and I know this is so overused sometimes, but I was just talking to my daughter about something with tennis, and I was saying, Asha, like rejection is just redirection. And also I always see rejection as like a test, because the people that quit and sit with the rejection and don't keep going is just making room for everyone else that's just going to push through it. And they're going to get there. Like,
sports are great for that, because sports really do teach you that, because even the best athletes lose. Yeah. And so they, I think, have like a better tolerance for it. I was not an athlete growing up, and I didn't play sports, but I love that you brought that up, because I think that tennis is a great way to instill that.
Yeah. Well, it's a good reminder for myself too, as I'm going through like different processes, but yeah, you just have to keep going, and you just find the right path that's meant for you, and you just never know what will come of it. And I think it's a scary journey, but I mean, that's the journey. I mean, that's part of it. You can't go from A to Z. You got to enjoy all the stuff in between. I do want to be real about something, because I think anyone and everyone experiences imposter syndrome as much as people don't like that. Do you experience it? And when you do, what do you lean on to just tell that little voice to go fuck itself? What do you do?
To tell it to shut up. I feel it all the time. I felt it just now when I said, and now I published 2 books. I was like, God, I sound like an asshole. Like I'm just, but yeah, I feel it all the time, and you do have to tell it to shut up. And I think that one of the ways I forget about it is like, I just keep writing. I just keep working. And I think of this as like, oh, this is just what I do every now, but it works both ways, because it helps with the imposter syndrome. But then I also forget that like I'm doing what I love. Sometimes people will ask me like, oh, how does it feel? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, it feels good, but I don't think about it. Like I'm just so deep into the process of like working.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing and impressive, but I think the fact that you are just going, you don't have time to like absorb in like negative reviews, or you don't let the imposter syndrome even, I can't imagine, sit with you that long, because you're on to the next project.
Yeah, a little bit is true. And I don't want to act like those things don't affect me. Like, of course, like I'm human, and I spend too much time like trying to find everything like people have said about the book. And sometimes when they're negative, like, of course, like I feel those things, but then like you said, the best way to move forward is just to keep yourself busy.
Yeah. You just keep moving forward. What keeps you up at night? I mean, you have so much going on besides like probably going out at 3 a.m. because you have like, what keeps Asha up at night?
Other than all night raves, deadlines, which I don't, you don't have, the deadlines are not like, they're not crazy with the books, but since I'm freelancing so much for my New Times and different articles, those deadlines come really quickly, like every few days. And my OCD does not like that. My OCD likes me to be done like 24 hours or more before a deadline. So that does give me like a certain amount of anxiety that keeps me up.
Yeah. Speaking of freelancing, can you give us a glimpse into what it's like writing these, entertaining, outrageous, like articles? Like what is, do you use a lot of research to inspire you for a new novel, or are you thinking the world is crazy, or this is so much fun and I'm glad I get to be a part of it now in my 40s? Like what is
So
writing
it's,
articles?
it's so much fun. Like I was obsessed with Sex in the City, like a lot of us were. And so the opportunity to write a sex and dating column in Miami is kind of the dream job that fell in my lap. It's incredibly inspiring. I think it gives me too many book ideas. Like I have a whole list of like what I want to do next. And I love writing about Miami in general because I think it's such an interesting city and such a diverse city. And there's so much we can make fun of, but there's so much beauty and joy and creativity too. And that intersection, it fascinates me, and it doesn't exist anywhere else like it exists here. I think I went off on a whole tangent, Cari.
Oh, you did it. And you know what, you just, I really, you really do love Miami, and I admire that. Like it's a beautiful place to live. And I feel like you can get caught up in so many things, but you spoke about it at your book event as well. Like you do see all of the beauty that this place has to offer. And you can tell you hold that dear to your heart. I love that your novels are so far based in Miami and Florida. I feel like I'm in the story. It's really great. Okay, so for people listening, because if someone is listening and they are standing at the edge of a big pivot in their life right now, whether it's career change, a new mother, divorce, anything, what do you want them to hear from you? Like, what do you want them to remember as they're standing on the edge of their life, wondering if they should pivot?
I would say find the thing you've always wanted to do, but we're always too afraid, and just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. People are always going to talk. People also move on very quickly. And at the end of the day, it's you living with yourself. And I think you're always going to feel better if you just tried, no matter what the outcome.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, because just in a matter of a few years, you tapped into all of your creativity. And now you're not only writing novels, but you're, writing these you're Cari Bradshaw 2025. I mean, imagine if you would not, this is what I always like to remind people, like, imagine if you would not push past that fear. Not to say you weren't living a beautiful life before, but in terms of your passions, just in a matter of a few years, look what would have happened if you wouldn't have said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go down this path, or, go into a writing hole of, living by the screen. Look what you've done. I just think it's amazing.
I think about that all the time too. I think about, as scary as it is to make a change, it's even scary to think about what it would be like if you didn't.
Yeah. Or just to stay the same. Yeah. So what are you no longer apologizing for?
Almost anything. If I'm not hurting anyone's feelings, I'm not apologizing. But I think it did ruffle a lot of feathers when I made this big life change. And the thing that upset people the most was the column, writing a sex and dating column, living in Miami. A lot of people said that I shouldn't be doing that as a mother, as at my age, all these different things, as an ex-wife, as a whatever, as a member of this community. And I did have a lot of guilt and even some shame in the beginning, but I'm so glad that I did what I wanted to do and ultimately didn't listen to those voices.
Good for you. I mean, if it's not like toxic parents or family members as we get older, then it's like people still putting you in a box or putting labels on you. It's really screwed up. And honestly, I bet you whatever, that those people are the people that are waiting for your next column and honestly wishing they could be Cari Bradshaw in 2025. Like, wow. I just think that's some real effed up shit.
It is.
Sorry, it's my podcast. I can curse. That's really fucked up. It's
fucked up. I think, people really leaned on what would your kids say about what you're writing? And I do. Every time I write something that's going to be public, I think about if there's a way that it will potentially harm my kids, which is why I don't really write about my kids.
Yeah.
And if I write about anything personal, I make sure that it's not about their father, who I adore. I don't have anything bad to say about him anyway, but I never would. Or anything graphic about my life that, someone could see and, show them.
Yeah.
So I do think about what they're going to see and how it would affect them. But after a couple people bringing that to my attention,
yeah,
I kind of sat them both down and in an age appropriate way said, listen, like my column sometimes talks about these issues. And they were like, God, they just kind of like rolled their eyes and laughed.
Yeah.
But didn't really care.
Yeah. I think that's some great mothering. And yeah, I think it's so amazing that people have the audacity to put you in the box and label you and try to talk you out of something that is an amazing opportunity. You're an author and you're a writer, but also like, I wonder if these are like the same people that are doing inappropriate things, like, I don't know, half naked dancing on tables while they're telling you not to write about.
Honestly, probably. Yes, honestly.
Anyway, I'm not going to go down that hole, but I just feel like it's a lot of self-awareness to be, have the audacity sometimes to tell a grown woman what she shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you have done so many interviews and you're just everywhere and you have such support and praise for your novels and your writing. Is there like a question that no one's ever asked you before that you wish that they would?
Honestly, Cari, most of these questions nobody has ever asked me. This has been such a thoughtful interview, and I appreciate, like, I saw a little preview of the questions. I don't know if you want to edit that out or not, but I was like, wow, these are so, usually if people send me questions before, I actually glance and don't think about them because I don't want to have answers ready. I want to like have a conversation and see how they come out. But I was so excited to talk to you because I was like, this is going to be such a great conversation. In other words, no notes, Cari.
Thank you, Asha. No, I mean, sometimes I like to send a little bit ahead because I do like to dig in a little bit into our past and what makes us us. And I find your journey, again, truly inspiring. You have shown people the power of choice, how you can reinvent yourself at any time, no matter what you're juggling or what you're experiencing in life. And you're making new dreams come true. And I think that is, I think that's beautiful. I don't want to dig in so much to your books because I know sometimes when I'm reading something or hearing something, I don't want to know what's going to happen. I want it to all be like fresh and new. But I think there's so much to say about you as an author and you as a mother and a person. I think that's why your books are just so great because it's because of the person that you are. And speaking of that, what's next? Because I know there's stuff.
I can't wait for you to, hopefully you'll read this one, but I am finishing a book for my agent that really examines my grief over my mother's passing and examines our distance also. And so this, if it never sees the light of day, the writing of this book was a huge catharsis.
Yeah.
But either way, I would love for you to see it at some point. So that's the book that I'm working on.
It's a novel.
It's a novel.
It's a novel. Yeah. It will see the light of day. And this is one I can't wait to read. And you know what? I think you just brought up a really good point that no matter what happens, the healing that happens in between all of those words, I feel like this is going to be a huge shift for your fourth and fifth book because you're going to be a different person, especially after this third book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asha, thank you so much for your time today and for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for these questions.
Thank you. There's so much that makes you you, and I just wanted to dive in a little bit. It's great knowing you and watching your journey, and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you. I feel the same about you, Cari.
Oh, thank you.
Because you've done all the things that you said to me, you've done as well. I'm just not interviewing you.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, I will give a shout out to Jennifer Close that you recommended.
Oh, she's the best.
Lovely. And one thing it's taught me is that's always been really hard for me since I grew up and not was never able to depend on people is this past couple of years. It's good to ask for help and it's okay. And it doesn't mean failure. And when you can find people that you can lean on, it brings joy to the scariest things, it really does. I'm leaning into people and asking for help.
Yeah. Support is everything. And Jennifer Close is an incredible support for any writer.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for lighting up with your beautiful smile. Thank you for your summer reading material because I have been wanting to take a break with nonfiction and self-help and the Namaste Club. I'm getting my spirituality in a very fun way. So I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing. This episode will definitely inspire everyone listening. And I look forward to next time and the next book.
Thanks, Cari. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Surviving Roots. I hope it gave you something meaningful to carry with you. Let's keep this conversation going. Find me on Instagram at cari.fund, where I'll share more from the show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs it. And remember, we are the choices that we make.